I'm asked all the time, which way's better, cutting or cracking? There's benefits and drawbacks to both cutting and cracking geode. I do both, but mainly I've been cracking them lately, just because it's easier and faster on my setup. We'll go over both processes on both of them so you can make an informed decision, especially if you're trying to decide which one you want to get. A saw, or the cast iron pipe cutter, also known as the cracker. We'll start with cutting. You'll need to decide what type of saw that you'd want. I use a small tile saw because it's a smaller blade. I don't like cutting all the way through a geode. I prefer just to cut the outer edge or just through the surface of the geode. Because the biggest drawback on cutting them is that if there's a big crystal inside, you have a chance of cutting through it. And if you cut through a crystal, you can't repair it. You have a cleaner cut if you do cut all the way through with a bigger saw. If you are cutting other rocks besides geodes, depending on the size of rocks or agates, your best option might be a saw. Your type and size of saw blade is very important. You should have a diamond tipped saw blade with no teeth. I repeat, no teeth. With a saw, you have a cleaner cut and a less chance of it breaking into several pieces by cutting them instead of cracking them open. The ones I choose to cut open are the geodes that has fractured lines throughout. The geode that I know would break into several pieces if I tried to crack it open. To cut open doubles, where two geodes are attached together. When I've tried cracking them in the past, it seems most of the time one side breaks into several pieces. Here's a couple videos of me cutting a fractured line one open and cutting a double one open. The first one we're going to cut open, it ain't really fractured, it's offset. You can see how it is there. At one time it has cracked and re-healed. So I'm curious to cut it open. I'm going to cut it open through here so we can see how it looked after where it's cracked and re-healed. On the cutting part, I'll fast forward through for you ain't got to sit there and be bored. This is the double that we'll be cutting. I'm going to shoot for cutting it right through there is where we'll be aiming. And it's still broke into two pieces even by cutting it. But she's got some amazing color in it. If you notice, the one on the left is a little bit shinier than the one on the right. The little trick or hack how to do that is clear fingernail polish, because once you cut one, it'll leave like a dull look on them after they dry out. On cracking them open, there's different types of cast iron pipe cutters, so you'll have to decide what type you prefer. Cracking them open, the main risk is breaking them into several pieces instead of two pieces. There is a small chance of crushing them and turning them into glitter. This happens occasionally on some smaller geodes with thin walls. In most cases, in my experience, this has not been a big common thing that happens on a regular basis. Cracking them is safer because your hands are not by a spinning blade. I prefer cracking them open over cutting them open, but it depends on the geode that I'm wanting to open and the method I use. I started like everyone else in the driveway with a hammer and a bag of geodes. And then I got a tile saw and was cutting them open and having the time of my life. As I started Scurry Adventures YouTube channel is when I invested in the pipe cutter to crack geodes open. I had plans of making our geode cracking table with the hopes of starting our geode cracking booth. If it wasn't for us getting into selling geodes at events and letting customers crack open their own geodes. If you want to see more videos of geodes being cracked, go to our YouTube channel. Most of the videos and shorts we have there is of us cracking geodes. If it wasn't for us starting our geode booth, I probably would still be just cutting them open on the saw. But cracking them is easier and I believe safer. The tile saw or lapidary saw does a good job. Just make sure you're comfortable using one. And if all you have is a hammer and a chisel, get out in your driveway, get to cracking them open. Just be sure to wear eye protection. So, which way is the best way? It's your way. Whichever one gets you out enjoying your hobby, that's the best one. Just make sure you're doing it safely. Always wear eye protection. You know, when you're cutting and breaking rocks, pieces are going to go flying, so always wear eye protection, no matter which way you choose to open them. We appreciate you following along with our little adventures. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit this subscribe. We'll see you on our next little adventure.